Jonathan Lautermilch. Thank you so much for coming on Inner Edison Podcast. I appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, my pleasure and honor to be here, man. Glad to be here, Ed.
Oh, my pleasure. And I'm sorry if I don't want to, I get bad news of scolding people or helping them with their stuff. And I'm glad I was able to help you a little bit. But let's get into about you, not about me. Not everybody's going to know who you are. I kind of research you a little bit because that's what I do. I'm more of the Ed McMahon, and Johnny Carson, which I don't want to know everything about you because I won't ask you because then I already know it. All right. So from what I understand, were you into fitness? Are you still into fitness? Is that what your whole claim to fame was?
So I got my fitness was the first industry I didn't get fired from. So in terms of
where did you get? So this is a show about failures and how you learn from them. Your greatest accomplishments come from your greatest defeats. That's why it's called Inner Edison Podcast. How many times can you get it wrong? So let's since you brought it up, let's go back a little bit. So how many times did you get fired?
Oh, dude, like Kroger to construction jobs to basically.
So you worked for Kroger as a bag boy or something?
Yeah, I'm talking this is like high school, dude. Like before I went to college and got my degree and went into the workforce, which the first industry I went into and took seriously was the fitness industry as a personal trainer. And that's where I got my cuts and everything I learned over about 15 years of helping grow and scale these, kind of Globo gym kind of gyms. But before then, whatever job I got for a summer job or part-time or whatever it was, I always got fired. I was a bus boy. And I remember I spilled all the food on this old lady's head, and she had mashed potatoes in her hair. I was just terrible, dude.
Like a movie.
Yeah, I'm just, dude. I was awkward, It's no matter, ice cream shop got fired from there. It's
what did you do at the ice cream shop?
I think I pissed off the owner because he heard me making fun of him one time because I wasn't paying attention. So that was oh yeah, you might not want to talk shit about your boss. They may cut back your hours after that. So I was me at 17 years old, learning kind of the hard lessons. But really, fitness was the first industry, dude, that I locked in, and that's where I kind of started off as a W-2 employee before I obviously went off on my own in 2018 and started Smart Shark, and we've created a bunch of cool things since.
Are you going too fast, man? Back it up. So
where do you want me to go?
I need to know where, because we fail along the way, and that's what makes us good business people. When you got in the fitness industry, what did you do?
So I started off as a personal trainer, and I ended up at
How long had you been working out, and what type of work?
Oh yeah, so I started working out when I want to say 16. And most young guys, it was because the girl I was dating, she was hey, wink, wink, elbow, elbow, you should come join me at the gym. And I was just so happy that I found a girl that I was head over heels with, beautiful. And, I just wanted her to stay with me. So I was yeah, I'll go work out. And as I started working out, man, I fell in love with it. I added about 60, 70 pounds of lean muscle. I was a string bean back then. And man, the confidence that I got from that was something that I knew that man, I want to be able to share this with other people. It wasn't so much about helping people get jacked or lose weight or get more mobility, which are all great things. But through my own experience working out and just the confidence it gave me to apply in all the other areas of my life, that's what I fell in love with. And that's actually what helped me kind of figure out, what do you want to go to school for? Which I chose sports medicine. I was actually planning on being a physical therapist. And when I was in college, I took this class that was physical aging, basically working with elder populations on what that would look like in the physical therapy setting. And I did about one semester of that, and I was ready to blow my brains out, Ed. I was there's no way I could sit here and do paper plane lateral raises for 20 minutes with these people. So that's when I started thinking about what are my other options. And my brother at the time was have you thought about being a personal trainer? I was sweet. And then that kind of led me to going to Gold's Gym.
Right. Now, Jonathan, so I'm smiling and laughing because I was a corpsman and working in physical therapy, and I dealt with stroke patients and burn, all that stuff, and I realized I didn't want to be in the medical field at that point because that's when I just went to school and got my bachelor's and master. I was in the Navy, and so I totally understand where you're coming from with that and learning different things because I didn't lift at all when I was younger, and then I did something and I started lifting when I was in my early 30s. And I went from 135 pounds, barely pushing a bench press, to 415 in 6 months. So the Parcauts, if you go with our generations, we're wing walkers, carnivore, we're in carnivore, carnivals, like circuses and all that stuff.
Oh,
Strongest men kind of people, that kind of stuff. Yeah, all the way back. So it's something, but I had legs from in high school because I used to do soccer, I went out for football. It was too hot in Turlock to do it there. But my grandfather had a dairy. We hauled hay all the time. So I had lean muscle mass.
You were country strong.
Yeah, from picking up hay and throwing it.
Yeah, dude, that's functional strength, man. You don't mess with those guys.
Well, no, and that was funny because people were like, when I wear a tank top, they're like, wow, I didn't know you had muscles. It's like, okay, because people who really are cut, you don't really know they have them unless they're super jacked. I mean,
right.
And that's that's when they look, they just look like they're skin, and then they take a shirt off. Holy shit. Is my language. That's kind of how you want to be. It's like having that car that's that is a really fast car, but it looks like a regular car, and then you can one of those.
It's kind of like tread lightly but carry a big stick.
Correct,
kind of mentality. Yeah, I respect that. And
you said Gold's Gym, and what's funny about most of the gyms, when you go in for trainers, a lot of them, you're like, you're a trainer. It's like you're not even in shape. Why are you a trainer? Yeah, the bar has come very low since today. And give this, you gotta imagine, this is 2008 when I'm stepping into this, right? So like I just got done with 4 years of learning and working out and partying. So like I'm in the best shape of my life, but at that time, what I didn't have was actual like real life experience with people. And I swear, like my saving grace with God bless those first few clients, man, like I had some learning curve of like, it's one thing to go, here's a textbook of what I've learned now. And here's an actual human being I'm having to apply this with. Those first several clients, like definitely had to go through my learning curve with that. But I think the reason that they're willing to stick with me during that time is they knew that I gave a shit. They knew at the end of the day, like I actually care and like I'm passionate about this and I'm going to do everything within my skill set and my will set to get you where you need to be. And that was really like the beginning of me falling in love with not necessarily the actual service of like helping people lose weight, but like the building relationships part with people. And I didn't understand it then, but I was just like, man, this is awesome. Like I'm getting to know people on like a very deep level. And it's not just about working out and counting reps. Like they're telling me about their grandkids. They're telling me about their aspirations. They're telling me about, what their boss is frustrating them over. And I got to be able to use exercise as a vehicle to help them build that strength, to watch that pour into the other areas, which is what fitness did for me back when I was a kid. So that's kind of where I first started falling in love with like the mindset aspect of it, of that transformational part. And then, so how long did you go work at Gold's Gym before you stepped out? So I was at that Gold's for about 4 months, and then I transferred to a different one because I was living with my brother at the time, and I moved to North Carolina, and I lived with my buddy down there that was still partying. I wasn't ready to grow up yet, so I was like, I'll just be a personal trainer and live with this guy and, party on the weekends. Did that for about a year. Ended up meeting a girl down there that was actually graduating from that college, and we decided to move in together, but we moved back to her hometown in Knoxville, Tennessee. So I ended up moving out there. I have to find a new gym to go work at, and they didn't have a Gold's Gym. So I ended up working at this gym called the Rush Fitness Complex. This franchise ultimately helped shape a lot about who I am even till this day, from work ethic to mindset to, structure, how to run an organization. Like that's where I got my school in real business. Cause before I was really just an independent trainer, man, just out there just struggling, man. Like didn't know a whole lot about sales or marketing, just kind of had to learn as I went along. But as I ended up at that gym, funny enough, the girl that I moved down there for ended up breaking up with me with 10 days left in our lease. And I had 10 days with no friends, no family down there, just the few coworkers I met. And I had about $300 to my name, and I had to find a new apartment to go live in. And at that time, who is now my wife, her name's Renee, by the way. I had met her at the gym, and we had become friends and
building that relationship. And she actually helped me find the apartment that I would stay at for the next 6 months as I kind of learned how to kind of live on my own, man, and not really have to have a girlfriend or a roommate or anyone like that. And throughout that 6 months is where I got the crash course of like personal development for me on some of the tests that I had to pass. And I'll get into this. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I ended up dating Renee, who, we celebrated our 15th year being together, 10-year wedding anniversary this past October, which will be on the 11th year coming up this year. And that all happened with me working at that company, because I never would have met her if I hadn't worked there.
Wow. Now, so you basically grew up during that 6 months is what you're saying.
Grew up, man. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you finally
had to. No one to lean on, man. No one to make excuses either. I had to sit there and look in the mirror and face some cold, hard truths about myself. But what I ended up doing was just leaning into my work and just focusing on, like, man, if I could just focus on helping the people that are in front of me, man, it'll help me not focus on the things that I feel like I just lost. And through that process, I learned how to get comfortable being alone. And funny enough, here comes a Renee, complete opposite what I ever expected, but the exact woman that I needed, that to help me become who I need to become. And once again, like, she's a huge part of my life, and she's obviously part of the company and the publishing and all the stuff that we're doing. But I've got a really fun story about how I ended up getting her to date me, which it took me 6 months, dude, just to get a first date with her. So that was a lot of marketing and a lot of follow-up, a lot of failed testing offers, trying to get her to go on the date. Pretty much, man. She made me earn it.
So, all right. Well, she didn't want somebody who was just going to be a fallback onto another relationship that was, I mean, some people make a list of what they want in that person and they stick with that list and maybe give up one or two things. My wife and I both had lists before we got together, and the only thing she wasn't on my list was 5'9". She's 5'4". I gave that up because I'm 6'2". I wanted somebody taller. And then the only thing on her list was a fireman, because she thought she wanted me gone every other night, because that's what she was wanting, because that's what the last relationship didn't work out. But what I'm trying to get at is you need to plan for whether you need to find out who your perfect client is, just like you need to find out who your perfect spouse will be. You need to know who that is. And if you don't research that and focus on that, you'll just take what hits you. And that's the same thing we do in business. So you have to really.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like, after you take a loss, like, don't just speed into another thing. Like, take the time to absorb the lesson. Right? Like, from like people that hop from relationship to relationship and then they just rinse and repeat the same result. Like, that's something I've seen my mom do, unfortunately throughout her life. It's like, I just knew for me, like, that wasn't going to be me. So I took that 6 months ago, man, where do I need to grow? What did I do wrong? Like, I can point the finger all day, but what do I need to look and grow on me? And then the same thing goes in business too. It's like, hey, like, what's the lesson you need to learn from that season that may not went your way, but if you take that lesson and apply it moving forward, it'll help you find what you're looking for.
All right. So when did you move on to get your own company? Did you separate?
Yeah.
How long did you work at this company that we were just
So I was at this company for like 5 years, man. And I rose up to like fitness manager level. I did a lot of like subject matter expert kind of consulting and sharing, like, here's how I'm selling, because I was one of their top producers back in the day over there. And as I went through that, man, I started to figure out that, like, dude, the corporate life, like, it just isn't for me. Like, I was constantly in the principal's office, man, like pushing the boundaries and all these different things. And all I wanted was autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Like, just let me do my thing and I'm going to make y'all wildly successful. But they wanted to have their cake and eat it too. And that's part of what I realized, like, dude, this structure just isn't going to work for me. So I took my first jump into entrepreneurship, which was online fitness coaching is what I jumped into. Ended up doing that for about 2 years, ended up failing miserably. And ultimately, when we were through that phase as well, that company got acquired by actually Gold's Gym International. And that's where my wife, who was still in that company, she rose up to a learning and development director. She got recruited by Gold Gym International as like one of their learning and development leaders, but they said, hey, we're going to keep you on and we're going to give you a promotion, but you got to move to Dallas, Texas. So me and my wife got married on a Friday, moved on a Monday, so that she could start her career down here or move her or progress her career. And I'm still trying to do this online business thing. But dude, I failed during that because I didn't start that for passion. I started that because I was like, I'll do anything to not have to work for somebody.
Yeah,
And that's why.
Yeah, and please, a lot of times the corporate people don't work, but you have to remember they have a whole structure there for a reason because they want everybody to do what they want. Us as business owners, we do what we want, but then eventually, as we grow the company and get to a certain point, you still have to have systems and structures in place that we would not want to work at.
Oh yeah. And dude, I totally respect them for their decision, especially now, like years later, after I've grown my own company and I've been in that seat. I totally understand. I just know for me, I'm just not wired to work in those conditions. Right. So I had to figure out where to put my ladder. And this would begin, after I had to go actually enter the workforce again. I ended up for the next 5 years or so of moving down here, like working at basically every big box gym you can think of. And I just kept switching companies every 1 to 1.5 years, sometimes 2, hoping that the next company would be the right fit, right? Because they would change leadership or change like the terms and conditions of what we agreed upon. And I just realized like all I'm doing is switching teams that are all basically the same team. They just have different jerseys. And that was part of my aha moment to go, Jonathan, stop being a bitch, do the real work, and go start your own company. But don't do it the way you did it before. Do it with a way of actually having purpose behind it, and then build it before you just jump out of the plane. And that would be Smart Shark, which was 7 years ago. And we've grown ever since over the last 7 years. But yeah, that was my first transition into like entrepreneurship and actually being successful with it.
Now, what is Smart Shark?
Yeah, so Smart Shark is now our parent company. At the time, we just focused on helping gym owners and personal trainers with like their websites, their online funnels, marketing coaching, sales coaching, because that was what I had experienced from working all these different gyms and training all these trainers. So my wife's making the websites. I'm teaching them how to market and drive traffic and to close deals. And we did that for about 3 years until we realized that we didn't want to be a website company. So that's when we had to make that fork in the road decision. Like, what do we want to do? So I decided to focus more so on the coaching and consulting, which then led me to joining, a couple masterminds where I got asked to be one of the actual coaches inside of there. So that opened me up the coaching into different industries. Right. And through that mastermind, one of the first things that they had us do, and this is after it's like a top tier, paid like 25 grand for the year. And literally the first meeting, they're like, hey, all y'all are going to write a book this year. I'm like, you're what? You want me to do what? I'm like, I just spent all this money to get in the room. And now you want me to spend more to write a book? And I heard the pitch and it made total sense on, less than 1% of people do this. And this is how you separate yourself in the marketplace and all the good things. I still didn't take action at that time because like I said, I just joined when ready to make that commitment. But what I did do was I watched the other guys that took action, and I literally saw their whole business and their life transform through going through that process of becoming published authors, some of them best-selling on the other end. That's what inspired me to write my first book, which then is kind of the catalyst to like how Smart Publishing started.
Gotcha. And now what mastermind were you in?
It's Apex.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you must know Brian Galke. Do you know Brian Galke?
I do know Brian Galke. I know a bunch of guys over there.
No, the reason I'm saying Brian Galke because he's the one I do the podcast with.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah. So we do a podcast twice a week, live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And it's all about how to be the authority in your industry. So
cool.
Yeah. So I just know because you said you're in Dallas, right?
Yeah. Dallas, Texas.
Yeah. So, and then I know he's done a bunch with APEC and other stuff. So I just thought maybe you would be able to connect with that. All right. So you wrote your book, and how long did it take you to write your book?
So I wrote my first book, and this is before we like became a publishing company. I had hired someone else for this. It took me about 6-7 months to get that book done. And yeah, 6 or 7 months.
Okay. Now, did you have a ghostwriter?
No, I wrote all my own stuff. So like this is part of like when I went through this was me kind of pioneering like a new process because for me, like I first tried to write it and dude, I already knows about me. If I'm looking at a blank screen and you want me to write a book, I will go create problems to go solve to not do that. Like that's how much anxiety that gives me. And I post every day on social media. So I don't have an issue writing, but there's just something about writing a book and how you want it written is just too much anxiety for me. So one of my friends who wrote another book introduced me to how he did his, which he goes, "Hey, Jonathan, just audio record yourself telling the story for that chapter, have that audio become your transcription, send that to the editor and have them, buff that up to whatever it needs to be." Now, at this point in time, the current editor I was working with I didn't notice at the time was just a normal editor. So this was someone that was going to do the grammar and punctuation and all these different things, but not really expand on what I'm trying to tell in terms of the story. So it just created a bunch of extra stress for me and more work that I had to go through back and forth. And that's what kind of helped me kind of figure out like you need a developmental editor. You need someone that is clear on what you're trying to do and the story you're trying to tell. They can take that story and then they can expand on that or cut stuff down based on what makes sense for the story, right? So if you do it that way, then I was able to knock out like multiple recordings in a week to get this done. And that's the only reason I was able to get that book done. Otherwise, if I had to write it, I never would have got my book done.
Right. Well, I don't know if you know this, but a ghostwriter is somebody you talk to and they take down what you say and then put it together in a good form. So basically it's exactly what you did, but you audio taped yourself and then had somebody else do. I said tape. That's how old I am. And you know what I mean? And so I don't, and that's when people were like, "Oh, you didn't write yourself." Okay. There's people who can actually write, but can't tell a story. And then there's actual people who can tell a story but can't write, and so it's better for them to talk and have somebody take their words and put it into their own words. There's so many ways you can do it now, but the biggest thing is just to do it. Because my first book came out February 2, so we're in February, right? So 3 February ago was my first book. I got 3 right now ready to go. I just got to get them uploaded and do everything I have to do with them. And I'm looking for somebody just to edit and upload it through Amazon for me. And not
real simple.
No, I just need somebody to do it.
So funny story though. So I do my book, I launch it, right? And man, I was like so dead set on like I'm gonna get bestseller, right? And I ended up selling about 500 to 550 books on launch day, right? I ended up getting second place, and guess who I lost to? Dale Carnegie. From good to great. Once I looked at that, I was like, man, all the wind in my sails just shot out of there. Cause I was going to have to sell like a whole lot more books than that. And
what category did you go into?
I don't remember. Dude, so at the time, my publisher, she had set it up and I just said, all right, we're good. You got me set for success. She goes, I got you. She didn't get me at all. She threw me in there against Goliath in the categories. Right.
Well, I mean, you need to pick good categories too, because I don't know what your book was about. Your book was from fitness trainer to best. What was your book about?
The book at the time was Groomed for Greatness, and it was for fitness professionals.
Right. Dale Carnegie had a book for fitness professionals at the time.
She had me underneath the mindset. Like once again, these are vague categories, which is kind of my point.
No, that's what I'm getting at. It should have been something with fitness, mindset, and then you would have been fine. And so mine was mortgage, and then another one was home buying or something like that. That was the series of bestseller.
So I'll share this. So I get my book out there and I'm published, and my wife ends up coming up to me the next day and she goes, "First of all, honey, I just want to congratulate you and say how proud I am of you for publishing your book. I got a question though." And I'm like, "Oh, here it comes." She goes, "Where'd you fuck up at?" And I answer, I go, if I could do one thing differently, it's what you're saying right now. And I would have took ownership over understanding the categories and how all that works so that I could have picked categories that actually gave me a fair chance to be able to have success with it. So after I shared that with my wife, she published her own book. It took her 2 months to do basically all of the work on there. She outsourced some of the editing and revisions and book cover stuff, but did everything else herself and then figured out how the category game works. She ended up getting bestseller within 2 hours with a fraction of my audience with her book, Leading Through Love. And on that day, I had never felt these two emotions at the same time before. It was like, I'm very proud of you, but I'm a little jealous. So I'm like, kind of like half clapping, like, good for you. Like, I'm happy for you. But the cool part that came from the other side of that was like, maybe we're on to something. Right. And then that's what bred us. Like, all right, let's try another book. All right, we're hitting bestsellers. Let's try it again. Again. And this is where every single book we've touched has hit bestseller, and we haven't missed without fail till this date.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it should be. I mean, when you're doing it, it's just a matter of doing the right marketing and everything else. And, talking to people, letting them know that you're releasing your book and talking to a bunch of people. I mean, cause I was shocked that I hit bestseller as fast as I did with, and then, cause I mean, the books, Amazon books, you don't make a ton of money with. It's not the reason you do it. It's
right.
It's a business card. I give them to my clients so they understand the process, makes my life and everybody I deal with life's easier. That deals with me because my clients know exactly what's going on. But I mean, the more you niche down your book too, the more you're going to have people want it, and people understand.
Right.
Everything we do needs to be niched down, because my first book was Financial Freedom, Building Personal Wealth Through Home Ownership, which is for everybody. But my second one is only for same kind of stuff, but only for veterans. And that's
cool.
Totally different because veterans look at it differently. That'll do very well. And then I have a book that I have is what to do with your real estate during a divorce. So, hard assets kind of thing. And then my third one
that's a good one.
Yeah, my third one is Podcasting Mastery, which is build, grow, and monetize. And it talks about that 3 different parts. And then that's getting broke into a course.
Nice. Yeah, it's a tool at the end of the day. Because like you said, like the likelihood of becoming like the next J.K. Rowling or whoever you want to put in that slot, you got a better chance of playing professional football than you got doing that, right? So it's like, once again, understanding like, yeah, you can make some money off the royalties. And what I recommend is you just use that as your ad money. Once you get your book dialed in and the ROI, like X amount of people read my book leads to X amount of whatever your back end deal is, that's when you can throw some money behind it and literally let the book pay for itself in the marketplace.
Right. And then sell your rights to other countries.
What do you mean? What do you mean sell your rights to other countries?
Let other people publish your books in other countries. There's a whole publishing industry doing that.
Really?
I know a guy in Japan, American guy, he's been there forever. He writes books. He writes books and he finds out what they want and he writes the book for that and sells the publishing. Yeah. It's a totally different. You got Amazon and then you got other publishers in other countries who will put it in their language and sell your book over there.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's something I found out, but it's got to be something like Financial Freedom, Building Personal Wealth Through Home Ownership would not be a book that would be great in Portugal, right?
Right, North Korea, South Korea.
Yeah, definitely not North Korea, but I'm just saying mindset stuff, fitness stuff would do very well in other countries.
That's super dude, the publishing industry is wild, man. So like, it's like, we didn't set out to be a publishing company. Like we just made a decision because we're like, hey, like this is awesome. We love what this is able to do for people and we're pretty good at it. So like, we just decided to go all in, 2 years ago with this. I turned everything off that wasn't adding this in the company and we just put a singular focus on it. So like we didn't go out to like be a publishing company. We just kind of became one by default. It's kind of an interesting way of like how we got in there. So like we're still learning a ton just about like what other people are doing. And be quite honest with you, I haven't really paid much attention to them. I've just been focused on what we're doing.
And I mean, there's so many different ways because I talk to so many people, and there's so many people who are doing what you're doing. And when I mean so many, it's just because they're in my face, because that's what I'm hearing from. There's not thousands of them, but there could be. But I mean, it's whatever's the easiest way to help people get their books out. Because one of the guys I talked about, Brian Galke, he's got his book. I'm like, when are you going to get it out? Well, I have to have it edited. I'm like, okay, stop that shit. Get it out. I mean, my first copy was I had to have revisions done because there were some mistakes, but we didn't find it, but we found it later, which is going to happen. You're going to find things. I had a guy from high school go through my book, and then of course I had to post every little mistake, which was at first I was like, you're kind of a dick. Why didn't you just send it to me that what happens, my chart was off because whoever put the interest rates at the top messed up on the first one. So they're off by one, you know what I mean? It was just off.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be 6.5, it was supposed to be 6, and then it would have been, everything else would have been perfect. It was just one number was off, but it made everything look, everything was wrong. It's stuff like that when you do charts, that you can only do so much while you're trying to get it done. You're going to make mistakes, and then you just have them fixed. And guess what? Now that's a new revision of your book.
Right.
So,
right.
And you can make, changes through your book throughout time. If you need to update a chapter because things have totally changed, you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a nightmare to do that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful time, dude. If you want to write a book, like, it's never been easier with all the technology and just different ways to go about it, for sure.
And make sure you do some type of a audio version, because it's amazing how many people listen and don't read.
Yeah, we haven't done audio yet, but I've got a guy that's specifically like what he does, and we've got a few people on our roster that are wanting to do that. So we're going to be connecting them with him, and when we get to see the finished product on the other side, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be super cool.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of companies, they do it through what we're doing here through StreamYard, and they'll let you read it or whatever, and then they'll say, redo that line again, please, and then they'll take that information and cut it up and put it into your Audible.
I know a couple guys that actually will do the narration for you. So like Danny Galvez from Apex, he does that. He's got a really cool voice and personality. So he actually had a lot of people hit him up going, would you narrate my book? And he was like, sure. So he's out there narrating people's books.
I know, but I always like the author's voice. I don't care how bad it is.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. I agree, too, with that. But it's just if you could have Morgan Freeman, come on, man. I would let Morgan Freeman narrate one of my books.
I don't, because they wouldn't believe me. And the way it's getting so much to the point where you can have AI narrate your book now, and it'll sound like you. I mean, it's not perfect. Yeah, I can hear the difference no matter what people say.
Yeah, it's not there yet, because I had a tech guy tell me the same thing, and I listened to it. I was like, there's no fucking way I'm using this right now.
Right. It will get better, but I'm just saying it's going to get to a point where, oh, you want your Audible version? Beep, boop, here it is. I mean, because I use ChatGPT all the time, and I drop my book in there, and it now writes like me in my voice. So
that's super cool. Training your Chat GPT. It takes some time to do that, but I've seen some people do some cool stuff with it.
I do so much with GPTs I created for all my podcasting. To do the outline for the podcast today takes me all of 2 minutes to drop in websites, this and that, because I created GPTs to do it for me. Same thing with my morning show. I do a morning show Monday through Friday, 8:30, that we talk about the market, because it connects to my radio show we do on Saturday. And there's no way I could have done it without the AI that we have now.
That's super cool, dude.
Because it would take me 2 hours to write my morning show, what we're going to talk about. Now it takes me 5 minutes.
How long did it take you to train it?
Well, I just created a GPT, so I created a prompt and put it in what's called a GPT in ChatGPT, which is these separate things over here. So I just click on daily live show script, drop in the different articles that I wanted to, and it doesn't even have to have access to the newspapers. You don't have to pay for them. I run into stuff, I copy just the link and drop it in there, and it will grab the information from it that you need without having access to read it.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, so there's so many things you can do, and that's why you could take all your audio that you do, and then you can have it transcribed through Cast Magic, and then that would be your words, and then drop that into AI and have it rearrange everything you talk about, and you could be amazed, and tell it to add, and you'd be amazed what it'll do.
Huh. That's dope, man.
Yeah, it's getting to a point, because when I had ChatGPT write a book for me in the beginning, which was not very good. I did a course, a thing called Getting to Know Knowledge Needed to Overcome Waiting. It was a sales thing, because everybody says people just don't know. You're muted, by the way, if you wanted to, that. Okay. I didn't know if you knew that, but yeah, you're muted. So, all right, we'll keep going. Are we all right?
Yeah, we're good, dude.
But I'm just saying, so I created that and it was okay. But now I can do, if I wanted to, there's things out there where they'll write a book for you, ebook in seconds. Right. And so if you need an ebook for your website or something else, you can have that done through some of these programs, Designer and other stuff, real quick.
Yeah, like I think if you're gonna do like a low level lead magnet, like I'm personally fine with that. But for us, like, dude, we don't use ChatGPT for creating any content for people, dude. I just don't feel like it's genuine personally. Now, we have used ChatGPT to help with like organizing a complete chaos of a manuscript. Like, for example, we've got one lady who's sending us 365 recipes because she wants to do like a recipe book. And it's like 2 years of just random information. So we've got a structure in the system where we can organize all of that. But in terms of like the final output, like my wife personally reviews and reads everything that we do with that, just because like I don't like how ChatGPT creates the content at the end. And also, I just think ethically, dude, it just feels sleazy to me, man. And I think that's why Amazon is actually cracking down on AI books, because the Writers Guild started going up in arms because everyone was pumping out books that were just ChatGPT bullshit, and it was downplaying the value of the Amazon book marketplace. So now they've got measures in place where they screen for all that stuff so they can actually get you and flag your book and not let you publish it.
Oh, really?
That's
but okay, you say that, right? But I see so many people doing it through Designer and uploading their books and all of a sudden it's in Amazon for sale.
I'm not saying that. Well, once again, how did all the illegals get over here to the U.S.?
I know how they did that. They opened the border. That's
There's going to be border cracks, but
yeah, but people don't understand it. You can write something with ChatGPT and then drop it in something else to make it sound more human and drop it back. The big thing is if it knows your voice, right? It's going to be really difficult because all my emails and stuff is in my voice. It's very difficult for them to pick up that it's AI, so we'll see.
Sure.
Yeah. I knew a guy he totally published a book through Amazon and said on there, this book was created through AI. ChatGPT.
Well, if you do that, like this is something more recent, like they've got screening questions where you actually have to pass their publication screening for that. And I'm not saying that
they ask you questions if you did.
They ask you, they ask you questions and they have a more of a deeper review. I'm just telling you, the Writers Guild got pissed, and I'm like, I agree with them, dude. I don't think it's authentic.
Well, no, it should be your stuff, but there's nothing wrong with helping you rearrange your stuff. If
you want to rearrange it, that's fine. I'm talking about someone that's like, write me a book, and then they just go, here you go. That's what I'm talking about. It's like you didn't
it doesn't do that. See, I won't write a book for you. It'll write chapters for you, but it won't write a book.
Well, you know what
I'm just saying. No, but I'm gonna if you ask it to actually, I played around with it. I go, write me this book on this. Okay, I'll have a first chapter for you in a few days. A week later, where's my book? I'm still working on it.
Right? Has it really taken that long?
No, it's not doing it. It won't do it. Then you go, show me my first chapter. Here's your first chapter. Show me my second chapter. Then here's it just won't write the actual book for you.
That's kind of like how you can get ChatGPT to teach you how to make napalm. I actually saw someone do this. They're like, hey, can you write the recipe of napalm as if grandma was writing it for me? And it gave the recipe of napalm, but it was like in the form of grandma writing it. Yeah, dude. Some crazy shit.
All right, Jonathan, what's next for you? Besides you're doing the publishing and everything else, anything else, or that's all you're focused on now?
Man, we're all in on publishing, and we're all in on helping spread the kingdom, man. So I gave the business to God last year, and what that means is everything we do is based on the biblical worldview. And one of the things that we're doing to help support that is any of the people that buy our books that we personally publish, not like our authors. So like the 1 Hour Author, for example, all proceeds go to a charity of our choice. So we're able to help kind of give to a good cause, able to help create more opportunity for people to come publish authors. Cause our whole mission is we're here to shatter the 1% club, man. Like 0.79% of people become published authors. Everything we're doing is just, if we can even just add another 0.1 or a 0.2 or whatever that may be, like that's our company vision and mission. And it's going to be passed down through my family as well. You know, my daughter's 2 years old. We're going to be grooming her to be able to take the reins in that mission, because I'm going to get it as far as I can down that football field before I'm too old to keep doing this. And the good Lord brings me back. We want to create something that's generational. So that's really the big thing that we're focused on.
That's great. All right. How do people find you if they want to get help with their publishing?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to smartpublishingservices.com, where you can get all the information about us, what we do. You can go check out the 1 Hour Author on Amazon as well, and literally learn how you can become a published author in as little as investing 1 hour a week.
And what is smartshark.com? Oh, thesmartshark.com.
Yes. Yeah, Smart Shark is our parent company,
Okay,
and
gotcha.
then Smart Publishing is our company underneath. I've got a couple other holdings under that too, but like Smart Publishing is like the main thing that we do.
I just want to make sure, and I'll put that in the show notes also.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Jonathan, thanks for being on the show today. Really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, my pleasure, Ed. Thanks for having me on.
All right, it was a pleasure.